YouTube fam. This is Miss Cherry B. And how are you doing? As for me, I feel truly blessed. And what I'll be doing a video on today is my COVID story. COVID is no joke. It's been 13 days. And if you see me looking down or looking around, I may be reading my notes. I had to jot things down so I can remember. And if I miss something, I most likely will put it in the box below. Okay, so it have been 13 days since I tested positive for COVID. And as of yesterday, which was Wednesday, August the 3rd, 2022, because I'm not sure when I'm going to get this video up, but today is Thursday, and I'm speaking of yesterday, I still tested positive for COVID. I sound much better. I feel much better. Like a lot of congestion is gone. So I feel much better. But this is my story. Okay. Now I would like to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a medical doctor, medical expert, or in the medical profession. You could always check with your medical doctor, CDC, or any medical professional if you have questions about COVID. This is my COVID story, my own opinions, and my own experiences. Okay. First of all, my daughters told me in my previous video, one of my daughters told me that I did not state in my previous video that I had received the vaccines, which I didn't, but I did end up posting it in the box below. I did get 2 vaccines of Moderna and also 1 booster of Moderna. I just forgot to state it in that particular video. I did not get the second booster. I just had 1 booster. Okay. And did I already state that this may be a lengthy video? So what I may do is put it like in 2 parts, or, it may just, I'm just letting you know that it could be lengthy. And I may repeat myself sometimes because what happened was I just jot notes down, and I may be reading, some more notes, so they may be similar to something else that I already stated. Okay, what I'm going to do with this video, I'm going to go all the way back when COVID first started. Okay. As we all know, that it started in 2019. That's why it's called COVID-19, coronavirus, COVID-19. And we all know where they say that it originated from. We don't have to get into details about that. But in here, in the United States, I think most people didn't start being diagnosed with COVID until 2020. And I would say, I think back in March of 2020, not sure of the exact date or time, I was working, and at my job, people were starting to be diagnosed with COVID. And we were told if we are coughing or experiencing COVID symptoms, not to come to work. So I started coughing and sneezing a whole lot. And then I started, since they said don't come to work because COVID was just coming out. So I didn't go to work. I would call in and just say, I'm not going to be in today. I'm still coughing or, not feeling well. I still have COVID symptoms. I didn't say COVID symptoms, but I'm just saying, I'm still coughing because I didn't know what it was. It was the beginning of allergy season, and I suffer really bad with allergies. So, and I continued to maybe about 3 weeks, just coughing, sneezing. It seemed like allergy, but it was a really bad case of allergy. And since I knew COVID was going around, I decided to call my doctor. And, my doctor had me to go in, and I believe I had to get like a chest X-ray, and I had to get a COVID test, and so all of that came up negative. But that was the worst time that I ever experienced my allergies and sinus, because I suffer with allergies and sinus. It acted up the worst in 2020. So I don't know what was going on then, but all I know is, it was just very, very bad. And the doctor prescribed some type of medication that helped, helped a lot with the coughing or sneezing and, the allergy or whatever it was. So then, so I think it was my allergy, sinus. I suffer with that. I've been having that since I was like a teenager. Since I've been in high school, I started really experiencing bad allergies and sinus problems. So, but that for some reason that year, 2020, it was horrible, the worst it ever been. So, I don't know if I could have had a touch of COVID. Maybe I had COVID and didn't know it. And by the time I got tested, maybe it was not showing. I don't know, but I just know it was the worst allergy season I ever had. So, and then, okay, let me go on. And then many people were starting to get COVID. I remember I had been in contact with a family member that had been around someone else, another family member, not immediate family, but another family member. She had been around another family member that had tested positive for COVID. So she went and got tested, and I went ahead and got tested too, and it came back negative. So that's 2 times I got tested, and I came back negative. So then, the same year, in 2020, toward the end of the year, we had a little family gathering, like Thanksgiving, like, dinner, a little get together. It wasn't a whole lot of people, but, just quite a few. It's a small gathering. So, after that gathering, some of the, not the immediate family members, but some of the other family members, extended family members, end up getting ill, and which, they said they had COVID. So since we had been around them, most of us in this family was tested for COVID. And all of us, the ones that did go get tested, majority of us came back negative. So nobody in my immediate family had COVID, okay? So that's a third time I tested negative. So they began to come out with the vaccines, and I was trying to decide, should I, a lot of people had this, was trying to make a decision whether they should get that vaccine or not, because it's a new vaccine and you don't really know what's going to happen with it. So you're a little skeptical. I know I was. So I was trying to debate whether I should get it or not. So I started weighing my options, and I decided to go ahead and get it. So my first vaccine was at the end of March of 2021, and I got the Moderna. And then my second vaccine was April of 2021. The same, I got another Moderna because I didn't want to mix anything. And then I got my Moderna Booster in February of 2022. Okay. So then in the summer, actually, of 2021, and I had gotten 2 of my vaccines, I believe. But in the summer, yes, I had gotten 2 of my vaccines by the summertime. We went on a vacation, went to Savannah, Georgia, and some of the family members that went on the vacation, these immediate family members, they started having symptoms, possibly COVID, because coughing, is complaining about loss of sense of taste and smell. And, I started really getting concerned. So, when we got back from our vacation in Savannah, we all, most of us, I believe, all of us, got tested for COVID. And so, when I got tested, I came up negative. But 2 other family members, I believe, came up positive. And another family member who'd been complaining for the longest, hers was negative, but she had a lot of sense. She lost her taste and sense of smell. So I don't know, by the time we took the vaccination, maybe she didn't have it anymore, because she had, other than losing her sense of taste and smell, she didn't have a whole lot of symptoms. So, but I came up negative again. So how many times is that? That's like 4 times I've been tested for COVID and I came out negative. So now I'm up to 2022. And as you know, I got my booster in February of 2022, the Moderna Booster. And so then just recently, in July, I had some oral surgery done. And my mouth was very, very, very sore. I did not know it was going to be that sore, that I just could barely eat. And I couldn't only eat certain things, had to be soft. I couldn't eat anything hard or it really hurt. And then, so for I'll say about 5 days, I was in a lot of pain. So my daughter it's my grandson's birthday coming up. She was having his little birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. So I was debating, I even discussed it with her. I'm not sure if I am going to go or not, because, my mouth is sore and, maybe I shouldn't go. But I just wanted to be there to support my grandson, and also to see some of the family members or family friends that I hadn't seen in a while. So I wanted to go. So I went ahead and, everything was fine. I couldn't eat certain things still. I had to be careful what I eat, when I was there. So I didn't really eat that much. Chuck E. Cheese was very crowded that day. I believe it was a Saturday, and it was very, very crowded. And at that time, I did not wear my mask. A lot of people nowadays, they don't wear the mask. People that have been vaccinated, or some people, that have not been vaccinated, they just don't wear a mask as much as, in the past. And some places don't even require you to wear a mask. So, people don't wear them. And I can understand it, because they are very uncomfortable. And so I did not have my mask on. And I guess I really wasn't thinking too well, because with having that mouth surgery, I believe I definitely should have had my mask on, because, anything can get up in there, germs or whatever. But I wasn't thinking like that. So, we had a really good time at Chuck E. Cheese. And then a week later, a family member, a few days later, became ill and said that she she was feeling ill. I believe her throat, she had headaches, or I'm not sure the exact symptoms. And so she decided to go get the COVID test. I believe I'm thinking she used the in-home test first, I'm thinking. And I don't know. I don't know exactly how she went about her testing. I'm just gonna be honest, but I know she ended up testing positive for COVID. So, when somebody in your family, your immediate family, tests positive, then most likely, as far as me, I want to get tested too. So, some of us, other family members, I believe all of us, eventually most of us went and had a COVID test. So, my test came out negative. Family member, I don't want to say any name or person, they may not even want it to be out there that they had COVID. Some people don't want you to know that they had COVID, so I'm not gonna mention names. I just don't. So the family member had tested positive, and that was on a Wednesday. That was on a Wednesday. Um, I wrote the dates down. Let's see, but let me put on my glasses. Oh, they're foggy. Um, but anyway, it was a Wednesday, and a family member tested positive. My glasses are fogging up, y'all. Can't do that. So, so I may be kind of jumping around the place. It may not be in the exact order. And then I'll say I tested that Wednesday as well, since this family member came out positive. So I decided to do a COVID test. We had some of those in home COVID tests. You know how you can order those. So, and we had ordered some, and actually we hadn't been using them. We didn't have any need to. And so I used one. But make sure when you use those home tests, you look at those dates, because some of them have dates on them. And I know a few of the dates, ones that we had, but I didn't use that one. A few of the ones that we had, the dates were old, you know, expired. So make sure you check your dates. But anyway, I used one that was current. So it came back negative. You know, I ain't think nothing of it, because majority of the time, like, that's my fifth time, right? Right? Hopefully I'm counting correctly, but I may have got off track. But that's my fifth time doing a COVID test. And that one came back negative. Okay, so I'll say that Thursday, I was still feeling sick, but I remembered, since my mouth still was sore. It stayed sore for a long time. It's finally a little better, a lot better, actually a lot better. So I I had some soup. So that's what I've been eating a lot of with my mouth: soup and noodles. Really soft foods like um mashed potatoes, applesauce, just soft foods. So anyway, though, so I ate some clam chowder soup. I believe it was either that same night, that Wednesday, or that Thursday. And I was like, oh, that clam chowder soup is kind of bothering my throat and, nose or whatever. A little, I just felt a little ill or whatever. And I began to have headaches. And so I think that Friday, I said, I'm going to go ahead and do another COVID test, one of them at home tests. And so it was another one, and it had the right date on it. It hadn't expired. So I went ahead and took the test again. So I didn't think of nothing of it. It's timed. You have to check by a certain time. So I set the timer, and then I went ahead and did a little something else, and then I came back. I still didn't think nothing much of it. And when I looked at it, I said, okay, let me check the time. I'll look at the test. I'm thinking it's going to be negative. But then I saw two lines. This test, you have two lines, one under the C, one under the T, and one under the C. If you just have that one line under the C, then that's negative. But if you have one under the C and the T, then it's positive. Even if it's a faint line under the T. But I had a pretty, the line, you can see it pretty good. So under the C and the T. So I was like, oh my goodness. COVID? I started just being, shocked because I never get it. I've been around, like I said, and I went through that. I've been around a lot of people that had COVID or close, in the same proximity. And I just never got it. So I didn't really think twice. Like I said, I told you I suffer with bad allergies and sinus. So I thought it was just acting up. And so immediately that same day, I went ahead, called a doctor. I spoke to a nurse, and just trying to see what should I do because it just took me by surprise. I don't even know what you're supposed to do when you have COVID, really. So I'm like, what I supposed? And she went through and told me what I should do and all of that. And also, I believe she recommended me to a doctor or something because maybe of the symptoms I was having or something. And I asked about that medication that I knew that Paxlovid, Paxlovid, that they have. I want to inquire about that. Did I need it or whatever? And a good thing I did say that because actually that night, oh my goodness, it had gotten worse. My throat was hurting, my chest were hurting. I was just having difficult breathing. It just happened. I mean, it just went fast. It was going by fast. And I was feeling really, really sick. And I was just, it tastes like, I'm not sure, but it just tastes like blood. I started coughing. It was really dry cough. Sort of tastes like blood was coming up. So, and it was just horrible. I felt horrible. So, the doctor that I spoke to told me, now this is a Friday, so most doctor offices are closed. So he told me where I could go, to like I guess a place that stay open with my medical insurance, a place that stay. Oh y'all, I may start coughing. I still cough every now and then, and I am taking cough medicine. I am taking this Corsita HBP, and it's for people. If you have high blood pressure, this is for people with high blood pressure. This is one of the main medications that we can take. You know, and this is like for flu symptoms. And some people say corona, COVID, feel like the flu. I don't recall because I had the flu when I was a young child, but I don't recall how I felt then, so I cannot say that. But that's what some people say. So I don't know, still don't know how I feel because I don't remember the flu. So, but anyway, off the subject. But anyway, so I had to go get some blood tests done and everything that Saturday. And he asked the doctor that Friday when I was talking to the doctor. He actually asked me a lot of different questions, how I was feeling, about my symptoms and everything. What kind of medications I was on and all kind of stuff. So he said I needed to get some blood work done. And then he's going to put me, depending on how the blood work came out and everything, he was going to put me on the that medication, the Paxlovid. And I'm, over 50, so I'm not sure who can take the medication. I don't know exactly what age you have to be, but I think they say at least over 50 or 65 or have some other underlying type conditions or something before you can get that medication. And so I took that medication and it really helped. It helped with the throat and the chest and some of the coughing and I don't know, I was just like couldn't hardly breathe, like I'm trying to catch my breath, like that. It helped with all of that. So I just continued to take that until that was gone. And also remember, I just had oral surgery on my mouth, so I was still taking medications for that. And I told the doctor I was taking like amoxicillin, the antibacterial, antibiotic, and I was taking ibuprofen, like a pain. It had a lot of milligrams, I believe 800, but I was taking that as well for the pain that I was experiencing with the oral surgery. So I told him, everything that I was taking. So I continued to take those, plus once I got the Paxlovid, I was taking that as well. So then Some of this is repeat. I'm just looking over it that I had written before, so I don't really have to say all that again. Okay, I just wanted to tell you all how I feel about COVID, because remember, I already put the disclaimer out there. I'm no medical profession. If you need advice, then you need to go to your doctor or someone else. I'm just talking about my experience, and my opinion, how I feel, how I felt. So, anyway, my description of COVID is a combination of a really severe cold, sinus infection, because I have experienced these things before, or sinusitis, or whatever you want to call it, and bronchitis, severe, all of them in one. That's my description of COVID. That's how bad it is. It's one of the worst illness I ever experienced in my life. And remember, I'm over 50 years old, so it had to be horrible. That's what I mean. It was horrible. And I had been vaccinated. I told you about vaccinated twice, boosted once, and still I thought maybe I would have mild symptoms because of my vaccinations. And then because I'm taking the medicine, the Paxlovid. But all in all, I was just really, really ill. Really, really ill. So I was deeply congested. I had headaches, fatigue. I was lightheaded, sore throat. I had a really bad cough and chest pain. And also I experienced some things that some people don't mention. I saw a few people mention it, but a lot of people did not mention it. And I experienced the like a burning sensation, like because I suffer with sinus. So all up in here, it was like burning, like on fire. It was just so bad. And throat, everything just, it was awful. Ears, just everything, just, I was very badly congested. And so, and then later I experienced this really bad, severe, and I never hear anybody talk about this as well. Eye pain. My eye hurt so bad. I thought my eyes was just gonna pretty much pop out of my head. I was just like, should I call the doctor? Should I go to the hospital? What should I do? I'm just thinking, what should I do? But at the beginning of this year of 2022, I was diagnosed with what they call dry eye, which I never knew anything about. I never heard anybody say that they had dry eyes before. You know how the hell those commercials or those infomercials about dry eye? You know how you kind of don't. As for me, if I don't have it or know anyone with it, I kind of don't pay much attention. So I wasn't paying it much attention when I used to hear about dry. I'm like, what is that? And so then the doctor had prescribed like some not prescribed, it's medication that you can get over the counter, like some certain specific eye drops that I could use. And I may do a video on about the dry eye, that I can put in my eyes to help with the dry eyes. And it really does help. It helped. So, but I was putting it in my eye. I said, well, maybe it's not agreeing with that Paxlovid medication that I'm using. So maybe I should stop, because I did not tell the doctor. I forgot about that. I did not tell the doctor that I was using that in my eyes. So I stopped using it, but still my eyes continued to hurt. I mean, it was so bad, especially my left eye. It hurt so bad. Oh my goodness. And so then but I just took pain medication, just went on through that. And then shortly after that, or around the same time, my tooth, had a tooth, sort of over here where I had the oral surgery, it started hurting so bad. It was hurting me so bad. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go to the dentist again. I just went. Are they gonna I'm gonna have to have some more oral surgery done? I'm thinking to myself, it hurt so bad. I mean, my tooth, my eye hurting. So and eventually it gradually kind of went away, or not hurting as bad. I'm not experiencing that anymore. It seems like certain things will go away, then something else will appear. And then another thing that I had was shivers and chills, and that's what I'm experiencing now, but it has gotten much better. I mean, like extremely cold. It's so cold, like I'm just like somebody just got ice on me. I'm just like shivering. And then I looked at some other people videos about COVID and everything, and some other people did say they had shivers and chills and just freezing, just freezing. I'm telling you, I had to turn on my little personal heater because it's like here in Georgia, it's like in the upper 80s and the 90s. So I cannot turn off the air conditioner with other people living in the house, and they'll be like, "Ooh, you know, it'll be too hot." So I had to use like my little personal small um, heater and heating pads, and that kind of helped that. And then so, but anyway, but I still decided what I'll do is just go ahead and go get the test again, which was yesterday, August the 3rd, 2022. I'm saying I'm gonna go. I had made an appointment. We had ran out of those home tests, so I was going like to Walgreens. They have like drive through, and they do not want you to come inside. So, and I can understand that if you think you have COVID, they don't want you walking all through the store, even with your mask on. So you go around the drive through window to get your test. And so I went and got a test. Let me tell you about my test because I didn't. Wait a minute. Let me finish with the symptoms I had. So I had the shivers and chills, which it was really bad up until yesterday. Today is finally it's starting to feel better, and it seemed like I broke out in like a really a sweat. And I've been running a temperature all this time. At one time it was 101, then it would start going down to 100. At first it was like 101 and 100, and then like 99, like a low grade fever. So I've been kind of running a little low grade um fever like throughout pretty much. But the chills are much better today. This the first day they're not as bad. I'm not shivering like I was, like so freezing cold. I'm finally doing better. And I'm so happy with that. So maybe I'll test negative. Because like I said, as of today, I still test positive. As of yesterday, which was August the 3rd, and this is August the 4th. So, I was so disappointed because I already planned what I'm gonna do the rest of the week, the things I need to do. Of course, I was gonna wear my mask if I went out and did a few things that I need to do or wanted to do. But when I tested positive, I'm like, okay, I'll just stay at home. So, also, I said I had the shortness of breath and a heart palpitation, especially like when I get up. It's like my heart is like boom, 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 like it's racing or something, like I'm running or something. I'm like, why is my heart beating so fast? Like boom, 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 boom. Just getting up, just walking just a short distance. So hopefully that'll go away. So right now I'll say about 75% back to myself. I'm feeling much, much better than that last time I filmed a video on COVID. Oh, so it is no joke. So anyway, the test that I had on August the 3rd came back positive. So as of yesterday, still tested positive. You just don't know how, even though I knew I had a few symptoms, and I was even telling some of my family members, like, I'm still having symptoms. I don't know if I'm going to pass the test, but I'm trying to be positive, like I'm like praying, I'm going to pray about it, prayer changes things. So I'm thinking maybe it'll come back negative, even though I was still kind of like having a low grade temperature and a low grade fever and that little shiver thing going on. It's so cold. So, but since it came back positive. So I finally, feel better about that. It was yesterday. I was just so sad, and so I'm thinking next week I'm gonna test positive. I mean, I'm sorry, not positive. Ooh, I definitely didn't mean to say that. I'm gonna test negative next week. I know I am. I got to. I had this too long. So for me to have had my vaccines, and I'm not trying to persuade nobody in either way to get them or not to get them. I feel like I should have had mild symptoms. And for me, taking that Paxlovid medication, I feel like I should have just had mild symptoms. I shouldn't have been that ill. And but then I always try to look at the good side of things. So I'm thinking maybe it could have even been worse than that if I hadn't had the vaccines, or if I hadn't taken the Paxlovid medication. It could have been worse. I could have um, been in a hospital, hospitalized on a breathing machine or something. I could have died. So many people have from this illness, and it's just no joke. And my heart go out to anyone who have experienced COVID. Especially if yours was really severe. To anyone who have family members have had it that was severe, or family or friends, anyone that lost loved ones because of it. It's just no joke. It's a beast. It's just horrible. So, um, I do plan to get the second booster. I'm not sure when, because maybe they saved my life. Maybe the vaccination and the uh, boosters, the booster, maybe it saved my life. And the Paxlovid the doctor put me on, I don't know. I could have been worse, like some people. And also, my heart really goes out to the people who are experiencing, still experiencing this, have the long COVID that I have looked at videos about, or read about, researched about. My heart really goes out to you to have to live with that every day. So that's my story. COVID is no joke. Feel free to leave any comments. And if I left anything out, I may do a little small video on something that I left out about what I've discussed. Let me just briefly look over my notes again. I kind of don't want to leave anything out. But I did discuss, I believe in my last video that I did about COVID, I discussed about the horrible taste of that medication, that the Paxlovid. It's the nastiest medication I think I ever tasted. It's so nasty. And you don't taste it as soon as you take the medication. At least I didn't. I didn't taste. But later on, it's gonna hit you, and it's like, oh, what is that? What is that taste? I didn't even know it's the medication. I had to try to figure out where was it coming from. What did I eat? And I said metallic taste. When I say metallic taste, I mean, like, you know how metal smell, like it smell. I know you don't eat metal, but like how it smell. That's how it tastes, like you're tasting something that smells like metal. Or another good description I have heard people say this as well. It tastes like a grapefruit. To me, it tastes like the grapefruit rind, like you chewing the grapefruit rind. It's so nasty. It's horrible. They need to make that medication taste a little better. But anyway, but if you need it, you need it, and if it helped you, that's very good. So I've been taking, my vitamins. I've been taking like vitamin C, my multivitamins. I had to get me some more vitamin D. I've been taking a lot of medications, and also I've been using. And when you have that horrible taste, something that helps temporarily, it's like cough drops or something. So I was taking, quite a few cough drops, and so yes, I'm feeling much better. And next week, I pray that I test negative. I really do, because I don't have this long enough. So I'm not sure how long people are experiencing this. I'm not sure. I believe the one that I have is the Omicron, maybe the BA.5 or something. I don't know exactly, but that's the one I think I have. And it's horrible. And I did lose my sense of taste and smell briefly. Not a long time, just briefly. And I think it could have had something to do with that medication I was taking, to the Paxlovid. Because it's like, I tried to smell certain things, and I was like, oh wow, I don't smell like. I've been spraying down really a lot since I had this with Lysol, like door special places where people tend to touch, like doorknobs and the faucet. I'm just spraying Lysol everywhere, and wiping down with the Lysol wipes or Clorox or whatever brand it is. But I think I had Lysol spray. I just been spraying a lot to get rid of that. Then I don't want anybody else to get it. I don't even wish this on my worst enemy. I don't really have many enemies. I try not to have an enemy because I mean it's life too short to have enemies. You know, I may have people that I don't associate with that much, but um, I wouldn't say I have enemies. But anyway, so if you experience anything, or you yourself or anyone you know, just feel free just to leave in a note. So if you had um, any type of symptoms, if you had COVID, or how you feel about it, or what you think about it, this is just my story, what I think, what I feel, my opinion. Yours could be totally different. And as far as body pain, I didn't have a lot of body pain. Like by other than like my eyes, as far as the facial stuff, my eyes and ears and throat and teeth and all that hurting. Of course, that hurted bad. But as far as like when I had the vaccines, I had like a lot of pain, and maybe that helped that. So when I did get COVID, it didn't bother me. So, like I have arthritis, so I didn't have a lot of shoulder pain or knee pain or back pain. I did not experience that. I haven't so far. And another thing that I didn't experience, so I'm thankful for these things that I did not experience, that some other people say that they did, is I didn't have any problems with my stomach really. I didn't have like, I did feel a little nauseous. Like, it's like when I brush my teeth or certain things kind of made me feel a little nauseous, but I never did throw up. So I didn't throw up. I didn't have diarrhea. Actually, I pretty much the opposite. So I didn't experience that. My stomach was a little upset one day when I ate some spaghetti with some meat sauce. That meat sauce didn't, I think, didn't sit well in my stomach. But I wasn't really sick because of that. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the things I didn't have or didn't experience. I didn't have to go in the hospital. Didn't have to get on a ventilator. So I'm just thankful for the things. I'm thankful for everything that I did not experience. And tell your story. But please like and subscribe, leave comments, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye.